Hi, it's Adrian Walsh here from EcoStream Water Management. Welcome to our series on backflow prevention devices. As an irrigation contractor, I'm often required to educate customers on our obligation when it comes to the installation of backflow prevention devices. There's many opinions and views across the industry about the subject on backflow prevention. So instead of trying to cover this topic in one sitting, I wanted to tackle it over a series of blogs and videos where I can give a clear explanation to make sure this subject's covered sufficiently. So the first video is going to be on backflow prevention devices, why they exist. The second one will be on, and that will be this video. The second one will be the 3 hazard levels and how they're commonly used in irrigation. The third will be about the placement of different backflow devices, so whether they're containment, zone or individual protection, and we'll go through a bit deeper into that. How they affect the pressure. There's a lot of pressure loss through backflow devices, so how they affect it, and how they should be installed. Backflow prevention devices exist for the primary reason to protect drinking water supplies from being contaminated. As landscape industry professionals, we have a responsibility to care for the health and well-being of our clients and the general public by having a thorough understanding of our obligations when it comes to protecting the water supplies that we connect to when installing irrigation. Essentially, when we connect to a drinking water supply in residential or commercial situations, we're required on most occasions to install a backflow prevention device at the point of the connection of the irrigation system. There are different ratings of the devices that will protect against low, medium and high hazard contamination situations. We'll go through the ratings and different types of devices in another video and blog. The name backflow prevention device gives a pretty good description of what the device actually does. We're trying to stop potentially contaminated water flowing back into the drinking water supply. So to give you an idea, I've got one here. So we've got one, yeah, there we go. So they're directional, it's really important. And essentially the way they work is they can only, the water can only flow one way. This is a high hazard device. It's called what we call an RPZ, or a reduced pressure zone. We'll cover where you install one of these later. But essentially water can only flow one way. So if there's some water that's been contaminated and something happens upstream, the water can't flow back and contaminate the drinking water supply. You might ask how that could actually happen. How could you get a cross-contamination? So let's just look at a hypothetical scenario where it could happen. So a homeowner, we're going to call him Joe, has installed his own pop-up irrigation system and it's been operating really well for a number of years. Joe loves his lawn and he regularly sprays the weeds with the weed spray. After a day of spraying, he forgets to shut his irrigation down. And that night the irrigation runs. He ends up with this puddle in the corner of his lawn, and right in the middle of the puddle is a pop-up spray. His lawn has poor drainage, so the puddle will be there for a couple of days. The puddle's a mix of water and weed spray. That night the irrigation system operates and the pop-up spray in the middle of the puddle begins to spray. Simultaneously to that happening, to that pop-up coming up and being in the middle of the puddle, simultaneously a car 200 metres down the road runs over a fire hydrant, causing water to flood everywhere over the road. Joe's sprinkler has no pressure in it and stops working. The water leak down the road is huge and no one's taps are working in the street. Slowly the puddle around Joe's sprinkler disappears as the water enters back through the pop-up and into the town water supply. So now we've got a contaminated situation where this water with weed spray mixed in is now in the drinking water supply. After an hour or so, the water authority come, they fix the hydrant, and Joe's neighbour, after having water off for a couple of hours or an hour or so, is really thirsty, so goes to the tap and she fills up her glass to have a drink. And but now she's filled up the glass and it's got a mixture of Joe's weed killer and water in it. So now Joe's going to be facing a coroner's court to explain why there was no backflow prevention device when he installed his irrigation system. I know that this story seems really unlikely, but it's a possible scenario, and because people's lives are at stake, we not only have a moral obligation, an ethical obligation, but we also have a legal obligation to get backflow prevention right. The brand Watts is a manufacturer of backflow prevention devices, and they've got this document entitled Backflow Incidences That Could Have Been Prevented. And that document's got some really sad and interesting stories where contamination of water supplies occurred. So I'll get you to click on the link in the YouTube video. We're going to be uploading this to YouTube. So if you're watching it on YouTube, you can click the link to that document. Stories like Joe's are why backflow prevention devices exist. So please reach out if you want to know more or want some help ensuring your backflow compliance on your site. You may be a facilities manager, you might be a homeowner, you may be a landscaper. We'd love to help you out with that. You can contact us via www.ecostreamwater.com.au. You can comment on a Facebook post. You can comment on a LinkedIn post. You can private message me through LinkedIn, Adrian Walsh, and I'll get back to you. Thank you.